Hello and welcome to another edition of Smart Money. My name is Kura and Chihota, and joining me is the man who makes the plan, who makes the money, and keeps it all working at smartrand.com, my marketing money man, Warren Ingram.
Money brother.
Many people these days are looking to alternative ways of making a sustainable income. Do you stay employed? Do you go out in business? Are you an entrepreneur? With a bit of flair and unique creativity, people can use entrepreneurship to create amazing businesses in the world. Entrepreneurship has some pros and cons, which I'd love to explore with somebody who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and written the book. Mr. Warren Ingram, you run your own business, you've written a book, you haven't had a job. I can make the argument, but your lawyers will sue me. I say Warren is unemployable, but you're self-employed, you've taken this route. What possessed you to say, look, I've trained, I'm smart, I've gone through the varsity system, I don't want to work, I want to go out and do something for myself? What made you do that?
Because I'm unemployable. So I think that's right. I mean, I think you find very often that being an entrepreneur is not just a choice about saying, you know, there's a business I want to do. It's also almost a drive where you make a bad employee because you hate people telling you what to do, and you've got an idea and you feel that there are better ways of doing things. And being stuck in a big organization, you'll find that might be hard to do. So sometimes being an entrepreneur is not just a positive decision. It's sometimes not even a choice. You just have to do it because you've got no other box you can fit into. Sure. So for me, that was certainly the case. I was either going to get fired, arrested, or I had to start my own business. And
then you got fired and arrested and started your own business.
So I think you know, the thing about being an entrepreneur is you have to understand. You go from working for a salary, which is reasonably nice, reasonably predictable, to suddenly working for the worst boss possible, yourself.
Sure. And
you drive yourself to the bone. If you're a committed entrepreneur, there is no time where it's work time, holiday time, family time. It's all work time.
And there's nobody to give excuses to.
There's nobody. Yeah, you look in the mirror every morning and you have a conversation with the boss, the cleaner, you know, the technician, because you're everything. Sure. You are all there is, and it's a scary place to be, but it's also an invigorating way to make a living.
Now, as a financial guy, you know, it's the risk continuum is quite large, right? You can get paid every 30 days as an employee. You can work your fingers to the bone, and then you get a bonus, and that sorts you out. As an entrepreneur, you have no such underlying guarantees. So from a financial planning perspective, how do we weigh this decision, safe employment versus being out on our own?
I mean, I think there's two things. One, just understanding risk as well. If you ask me about working for a multinational in South Africa, I would say that's high risk, because someone sitting in the US, in London, in Asia, deciding on whether they're going to do retrenchments at the end of every year. And usually because that's how they work, they decide it usually around about Christmas time, just to be really nice about the whole thing. And that for me is more risk than I'm willing to tolerate.
Sure.
Whereas if I can control my destiny by running my own business and finding my own clients, I feel that's probably more manageable risk. But if you're looking at it from a pure numbers point of view, I think what you would decide is whatever the business is that you're going to start, is it something where you're required to sell something every month to make a living? In other words, do you have to make a transaction? So estate agents, because that's one of the interesting entrepreneurship opportunities. Lots of people will leave an industry and go and become an estate agent. To me, that's quite a high risk way of making money, because you have to sell a house every month, or 3 houses every month, or one enormous house every 3 months to get paid. And you need the system to work. You need the banks to make lending. So I find that quite a risky way of making a living. Whereas doing something where you get paid on a monthly basis by your client, so you get paid a monthly retainer or some kind of a monthly fee, that's a bit less risk. Especially if it's not a completely new thing. In other words, you're not changing behavior, creating a new industry or something. Then I think you have a little bit more predictability on making that call. But the one thing you want to do if you start your own business is get debt free, because the worst thing to do is have to know that you have to pay bills every month to
Sure.
pay the car, pay the house. So make sure you're debt free before you start.
So I'm going to channel my inner Pavlo Phatides here. When you start a business, the first business is about the product. The second business is about you. The third business you're going to succeed at is when you've got the sense of business. How can we expedite that learning curve? Can we expedite that learning curve on entrepreneurship? Because we talk about this being the growth engine of the economy where the jobs are actually going to be created, but I see it as a very high-risk strategy, especially in times when we have an economy that's contracting as it is now.
I think that's right. I think also some of the very best businesses are started in conditions like these, and so I wouldn't discourage someone from doing it. I think you've got to understand what's your market, who you're going to sell to. You and I sit here and we come up with some fancy new product that we think is absolutely wonderful, an app. We don't know how to develop an app, but let's just say we did. And we think it's the best thing ever. Who's actually going to buy our app and who's going to pay us a monthly fee? So you need to understand you can't just create a product or create a service and hope that someone's going to buy it. You need to understand first what are people looking for? What's the problem that they have and how can you solve that problem and how can you get paid for that problem? Then make the call about saying, okay, now I'll go into doing that as a business. But I think many things fall over where you just create something and hope that it'll work. That to me is extremely high risk.
All right. It's not going to be high risk if you come back and watch the rest of the show. It's actually going to be very rewarding. On the other side of this break, we've got an entrepreneur who's taken from startup to selling for over R1 billion in his lifetime. And he's a young dude. We're going to see you on the other side of this very short break.